our conversation is called Relearning Community Outreach, Part 2. Now, our first part went over a lot of the basics of community outreach. And our second part is with Latine members of Nature Forward. This will be different perspectives. If you notice, the first part of our conversation had white colleagues of Nature Forward who had very different challenges and surprises and expectations when it comes to engaging with Latine communities. So I'm very, very excited to introduce you to my two Nature Forward colleagues. First is our wonderful co-chair, Denisse Guitarra, pronouns she, ella. Denisse is our Maryland conservation advocate at Nature Forward, and she leads policy and advocacy work in Montgomery County and has done so much community engagement in areas of Montgomery County, such as Long Branch, and Prince George's County, such as Edmonston. And we work all over Maryland, and Denisse has been instrumental in leading that work. With her, I have another fabulous Nature Forward colleague, Gina Ghertner. Gina is our lead GreenKids educator for Nature Forward. And GreenKids is an environmental education outreach program for public schools where Gina supports their environmental literacy programs. So not only do you have the perspectives of Latine community members, but you also have perspectives in engaging in Maryland community outreach and with school systems. So I want to start us out, ladies, if you will quickly share with us a little bit about your programs. And Denisse, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Lydia, and thank you everybody for joining us. So I've worked primarily in 2 counties in Maryland, in Montgomery County and in Prince George's County. And in Montgomery County, I've led the Long Branch Community Outreach events from 2019 to 2023. And you can read more about them in our Long Branch Community Outreach website, which I will drop in a second. But we started with Long Branch in 2019 with a project called What Lives in Long Branch, where we did a series of nature walks and we took families up and down the watershed to see what different types of the watershed look like. And then from 2021 to 2022, we ran a project called the Si Se Puede project, where we engaged with 10 families and they worked on reducing their litter and increasing their recycling in their Long Branch community. And lastly, we did the Don't Pollute project, where we worked with 18 high school students, and they also worked on reducing litter and increasing recycling in their community as well.
Wonderful. And I'm so excited that I got to be a part of some of those programs. And let's go on to Gina. Gina, tell us a little bit about the programs you do.
Hi, hola, ¿cómo están todos? Well, this program, GreenKids, as you said, Lydia, is an educational program that we have in Nature Forward that works with schools. It provides schools free resources to support environmental literacy. I have some pictures of some of the programs we've run. But what does that mean is that we work to bring children closer to nature. So that's the main goal. We want to spark that connection with the world around them so that they can build a sense of wonder and belonging with the natural world. So when that happens, they will feel a responsibility towards the care of the land where they live. We work with communities in Montgomery County Public Schools, Loudoun County Public Schools in Virginia, Prince George's County, as well as DC. And we deliver hands-on lessons to the students at every grade level, elementary, middle school, high schools, but we also offer teacher trainings. We do school-wide assemblies on different environmental topics to help the school manage better their resources energy-wise. And waste management, and also support the schools in building these outdoor spaces for learning for the students, like this rain garden that you're seeing in this photo right now. That's with the school, Flower Hill, where the kids are planting a pollinator garden. We just did that a couple of months ago. So we do a variety of programs, and we serve a big community in the whole DC area.
Thank you, Gina. And I think for both of you, how does engaging with the Latine community differ from engaging with other communities, and especially being a member of the Latine community? How do you find it differs?
I can take a first stab at it. So I think the most interesting part about it is that engaging with Latinos, Latinx community is, as a Latina myself, I can bring a lot of my Latina perspectives into engaging with the Latinx community. So for example, making sure that all the activities are culturally relevant, that, we have food that people enjoy the most in the events, but also making sure that we take time, we take pauses to really understand what the community's needs and wants and desires are. So not just like come in with an agenda, okay, we're going to do this project and it's going to be done this way, but like really hear the feedback from the participants, from the community member, and also to bring in that knowledge that they themselves are bringing, especially if in Long Branch we've worked a lot with like immigrant communities, so they're sort of new to this country and they have a wealth of knowledge really that they can bring into our programs. So I see in the chat actually one of our partners, Vanessa from Cheer, has joined us. And I think that's another beauty of this work, is being able to partner with a lot of grassroots, on the base organizations that know the community so well, and to also bring in their knowledge and their experiences into our work.
Gina, did you want to add anything?
So to put this in within the whole school system, and when we go to schools and deliver, well, one of the things that Denisse just said, and I've also participated in some of the projects that she's talking about with communities, but to make things culturally relevant is very important for us. So when we go to school, it goes beyond the lesson plan, right? We have a lesson plan on a topic that we deliver to all these big audiences that I just talked about. But when you go to a school, that school has a particular culture, depending on the neighborhood and the community that is surrounded with. So as an example, when we do this paper making class and we start rolling the paper, we have rolling pins, and then the kids have to flatten the paper. So in the lesson plan might say, yes, and tell them to flatten the paper like a pizza. So if I'm go to a community, which I know that pizza is not their main food, I would say flatten it like a pupusa or like a tortilla, and the kids laugh and they smile, and you can totally see how their attitude change, because you are speaking in English. Sometimes not all the students are going to be speaking Spanish, even if it's a 90% Hispanic population. You have to make it in both languages. But when they see that their food is mentioned as an example, they just light up, and then they start throwing in different things. Oh yes, I make pupusa with my family. Oh, I make tortillas, Miss Gina. So they start to getting very chatty and comfortable with the lesson. And when we go to do a lesson on plants, and we bring fruits as an example. So I go to my local food store here, which is H Mart, and I try to get a diverse array of fruits that people from other communities might be familiar with. So I bring different types of potatoes. I bring different types of corn. I'm from Peru, so I will bring a purple corn that maybe the kids have never seen, but some others had. So I try to bring fruits that relate to them. So that's what we try to do make them closer to the topic with things that they already know. But another aspect of this question is the language barrier. So that is something that it doesn't matter where the students are from, they always are willing to learn. So what we have to think about is how to make it closer to them. We have volunteers that work with us, so it's been hard to find volunteers that speak Spanish. So that's something that we try to do to engage these communities in a different way. Also, that our volunteers speak Spanish. So when we try to divide in between the lessons and the stations, they all get that special attention in their own language, and maybe a better explanation of the concepts that they can understand, and that way fully participate in the lesson.
Thank you, Gina. And we might just have time for one more question before we turn it over to the audience's questions. But I wanted to know, what is a challenge that surprised you? How did you face it? What did you do to overcome it? And what are some things that continue to challenge you, whether it be engaging with Latino communities or maybe even working internally within an organization where not everyone is Latino? So just what is the challenge that you have faced, and how did you address it? And what are some things that are still challenging you now?
Yeah, I think both Gina and I have a lot of good examples. Maybe we can feed off each other. But one thing that actually I was just recently reminded of is just the way that we communicate actually with the participants. So sometimes like depending on what Latin American country you are, you either are used to more like formal, the formal usted, to referring to elders or someone you don't know, or the more common tú if you're like more friendly or family. So one of the things that we have to like just keep in mind especially when we're writing or when we're speaking with the community members, is like, what is the best way to engage with them, and where are they coming from? Like, what are sort of the language norms and forms that we should take into account in our communications, whether it's writing or speaking. And then for challenges and unexpected challenges, I would say it definitely turnout. I think one of the things that we continue to struggle is, we have a lot of great partners, but even when we put out flyers, we go to food distributions, we put the word out of basically of our programs and our events. It's still a challenge to really get a good turnout of participants, and especially if it's something that's like over a long period of time, or that takes many meetings per se. So that's something that we're continuing to find new ways to improve and make it better and more engaging. Stipends have helped, of course, in that case. But it goes beyond the stipends too. It has to be a program that's relevant, that's engaging, that's relevant, that's really going to help them as a community, but also as an individual or a family.
Wonderful feedback, Denisse. Gina, I'm sure you have something from all of that.
Yeah, for us it's a little bit different because since we work with school, there is no recruitment or reservation, and the school is usually committed to the whole GreenKids program, which is a 2-year program that we offer. So they are required to have our lessons there. So in that sense, we do have the audiences there, and I am so lucky to be bilingual. So I feel that I can engage them, and that I am culturally sensitive to the different Latin American countries that there are. As Denisse was saying, that even the same word doesn't work for all of us. So I'm Peruvian, but I live in this area. I've been living in this area for a while, and that is a plus because there is so much diversity here in Montgomery County that you already feels like you've been traveling to all these countries. But one of the things that I wanted to maybe mention here is that there are still some stereotypes and prejudice that I can see in day-to-day basis, maybe not big, but in subtle attitude, the attitude of the people. As an example, if I go to a school with a volunteer that is white, and they've seen me for the first time. It's the first time that we're going into the classrooms. So the teachers would address the white person thinking that's the lead teacher and that I am the volunteer. And that has happened several times. Like I already know it's gonna happen. When I go there, we go with our Tupperware and we sit there with all the materials, and I know that they will start talking to that person as if that person was the lead teacher and not me. So that happens. That still happens. I don't feel that it bothers me in that way because I know that that's what we're here with in this conference. It's a struggle, it's a day-to-day basis that you are trying to change what people think about you. And that also has happened to me as a naturalist, not just in the classroom, but maybe in a field trip. That when I say something that I know about nature, they will kind of doubt it for the first time. I have to say, I have to demonstrate that I know instead of just, yes, she knows because she knows. Oh no, maybe she's brown, but she knows something. So I can see the doubt in people about the level of my knowledge because of race. So that's something that is present still.
Yeah. And if I may bounce back a little bit, I think this really relates to the whole theme of the conference of perteneciendo, belonging, and something actually our previous co-chair of National Latinos, Sana Linares, said in her panel yesterday, actually, that, sometimes as a person of color, you kind of just have to build a thick skin because you're kind of just attacked from all sides sometimes. And the only way to really overcome it is to really show that we do belong in here. Because we do. We are all working towards making and protecting this environment and teaching other generations to love and protect and care for our environment. So I think it is a hard journey, but I think also sort of having that visual representation, especially for next generations, to let them know, yes, you can do it, you belong here. It's very important. And that's the reason also why we're having this conference, because we want to make space to make everybody feel empowered and welcome, and that, yes, you belong here.
Thank you. Thank you both for lifting that up. And I can't think of a better way to go to our audience's questions. So our first question that we have is from Lucila. Changing volunteer recruitment strategies and providing tools for multilingual volunteers is a good thing to think about when it comes to rounding out one's org engagement tools. What are some things you found yourself doing differently, if any, when it came to focusing on Spanish language ability in volunteers?
Yes, yeah, recruitment is something that we've been working, diversifying how we recruit people. We have a program called Master Naturalist, where we train the community to be naturalists in different aspects of nature, so they can, and part of that is that they need to do some volunteering time. I think it's 60 hours a year, so they pick the projects that they want to work with. So we use these volunteers because they are already trained in nature too, and based on their interests, we post the openings that we have so they can come and help us in the school. So that those are the volunteers that we get. That's how we get our volunteers. And it just happens that not much of them are Latinos. So one way to get the word out is with this conference. I thought, oh, maybe if you guys want to come and volunteer with us and have some bilingual skills, that would be awesome. So yeah, we need more people that speak Spanish. And I was looking at the comments there, and one idea that we have also that we're going to be working it is in the lesson plan, have some keywords in Spanish. So for somebody that is not bilingual, they know those words and then they can use it. Maybe if it's a set of 10 words that the kids would just be happy to hear in their own language, I think that's a good step that we can do for people that are not bilingual but still have a desire to help these Latino communities also in the classroom, which is okay.
And if I may add on, we also, some of the ways that we've engaged also with volunteers, especially when we're working with families like kids and like adults, parents, and the parents sometimes are the ones that need interpretation or only speak Spanish. The kids themselves are bilingual. So even if you just have like one volunteer that knows a little bit of Spanish, or like you can help your with like work with the kids basically, and we can still work together in this somewhat hybrid interaction between some speaking Spanish, some being fully bilingual, some not. And then also I want to highlight something that my colleague Renee and Alice said in their panel yesterday, which is that, you know, some things, sometimes when you do bilingual workshops, you don't translate everything because there are some terms that, like in landscaping, you're going to be using the English term most of the time. So you actually end up still using the English term. You can sort of describe it in Spanish and everything, but you're still going to use the English term. So that's another tip I would say. You don't really have to translate everything. It really depends per setting.
Thank you. Thank you both. I have another question from Gabby, and this might be, well, it's probably could be for both of you because you both deal with parents in your positions. She asks, I find it that parents are not aware of such programs, environmental programs, I presume. How do you approach communicating effectively to parents?
Mhm. So for the programs that we offer are through the school. So we rely on the school scheduling our programs, which because they are within the school hours. But we also do offer after school programs. And what we do is we ask to get invited to the PTA meetings. So each school has their meetings where they invite the parents, and they gave us 5 or 10 minutes to talk about the program, to talk about what their students are going to be learning. And also because we also want to engage the families in the learning. We also work on having some um, materials that the kids can take with themselves. And I remember when we were running this garbology program in DC, it was about waste reduction in schools. So every lesson will have a worksheet. That it was simple, but it was mostly with the objective of letting the family know about that new concept, because that's something that if you don't do it in the house, then you cannot translate it in the school. But if you also do it in the house, then it's a natural thing. So we wanted to extend that learning into the classroom. And of course, we had the flyer is bilingual in both sides. So the kids would go and maybe have pictures of their recycling bin and tag what they see, so they can also start a conversation in at home. But yes, I think it's very important to communicate with the parents. And also I tell the teachers and the PTA when I have a program to tell the parents, so the parents can volunteer with us too. And that has happened in PG County very well, especially in our salad science program. The parents are very open to come for the harvesting day, and they help us make the salad and give a nice healthy meal to the kids. So yes, we love parent participation.
Great. And we may just have time for your additive, Denisse.
Okay. Very briefly, yes, we also work with, well, we mainly work with families, so we do engage a lot with the parents. But I think both in Montgomery and Prince George's County, in our case, we've engaged or partner up with our community-based organizations in Montgomery with Cheer, and then in Edmonston with the local government of Edmonston. And also, you know, kind of building that trust with the community by being in their events, in their communities, tabling, just getting the word out of the events.
Thank you. Thank you both. And thank you everyone for your questions and your comments and your engagement. Just being a moderator, I know hearing your feedback, your responses, your perspectives has been so uplifting and empowering. And I think just highlighting how many times as Latine, Afro-Latine people, that it is easy and oftentimes you are overlooked, and yet you persist and you persevere. And I know we are so thankful for that perseverance.